All right. 3, 2, 1. And we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Clickostone Sessions episode 11. Today we are joined by a true legend of Swedish, European, and global Gomokuen Renju. He has been active in these games for most roles that exist as a competitor, teacher, and an organizer. Today we get to tap into a close to 40 years of experience in our 5-in-a-row games. Without further ado, welcome to Clickostone Sessions, Mr. Peter Jonsson. My friend, how are you keeping?
Yes, thank you. It's nice to be here. I like this initiative you have made to broadcast things like this. It's good for Renju, I think. So yes, I'm feeling quite okay, despite the very hot weather that's been the last week, but a little bit cooler today. So
Glad to hear that. In Helsinki here, it's absolutely terrifying. The weather forecast, as mentioned just a couple minutes ago, it says feels like 36, which is pretty unheard of in Helsinki. So normally I wear a suit jacket and a shirt. Today I don't even try, but I have a lot of cold beverages to help out.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to today's discussion. We have had some preparations and quite a bit of interesting topics planned for our viewers. So shall we start with the traditional player intro first?
Okay. But before that, I have a little surprise for you. I brought two friends here that have joined me on many tournaments.
Wow.
And people from other countries might recognize. For the first, it's my thermos with coffee. And this thermos has been maybe in 15 countries.
Wow.
So it's for many, many years. So it's a true friend. And also this shirt I have here, I bought it in 1985 before I made a long Renju trip. And imagine this shirt was very expensive, but still after 36 years, it looks like new. So it's interesting to have these things around for such a long time. Okay, so you asked me to introduce myself a little bit.
Yes, please.
Well, I'm 63 years old. Very soon I will be 64 in a couple of weeks. And I'm from the town of Huskvarna in South Sweden. Maybe some players remember it from the World Championship 10 years ago. And I am working as a teacher in mathematics, physics, and chemistry.
Mm.
And I've been doing that for quite a long time. And but now I see the end of that career. Maybe if I'm healthy, I will work 3 more years, I think.
That's a normal retirement age in Sweden at the moment.
Yeah.
Mid-60s.
Yeah, 65 is normal. But on the other hand, some friends at the same age as mine already are pensioners. So it's possible to do it earlier, yes.
Yeah, similar to Finland, I suppose.
Yeah.
And you're teaching 7th to 9th grade, if I recall.
Sorry?
You're teaching 7th to 9th grade, so not small children.
Yes. And besides Renju and Gomoko, interested in quite many things. One big interest through the years is music. I love music as long as I can remember, and I played in a band for many years. I play guitar and a little bit of singing, but most of all as a songwriter. So I made quite a big number of songs, actually. So
I've heard you a
after
couple times playing the Renju is the Game song.
yeah,
Maybe you
yeah.
can share that story, and perhaps you can even play if you have a guitar around.
If the sound is okay, maybe yes. And yes, and also I'm interested in sports. I do some running 2 or 3 times a week. Maybe tonight, when it's lower temperature, I will between the football games. I hope to make some kilometers.
Nice.
And also one thing I like to read a lot, both novels and I'm also interested in like social science, especially in the time we are in now. A lot of things happen very quickly, and it's interesting to think what will happen in the future.
I agree wholeheartedly. Similar interests, I suppose. Running and music are passions of mine as well, and I've recently, well, let's say the last year or so, tapped into a little bit of social sciences as well, reading a podcast or listening to a podcast and reading some books of Dr. Jordan Peterson, clinical psychologist, who speaks for many of the social topics, as well as the teaching. So been studying to become a vocational teacher, and similar topics tap into there in that education as well.
Yeah. So maybe I think I'm foremost known as an organizer more than a player.
Yep.
So maybe not. I don't have so many interesting games to share, but on the other hand, I have a lot of experience from organizing and can tell about the early years of international Renju.
Oh, that would be super. Absolutely. Can you say a couple words on how you bump into Renju and Gomoku in the first place?
Yes, it's actually I've been unemployed 1 month in my whole life after an education, and I was desperate to find things to do. It was so boring to be at home when friends were at their jobs. And a friend of mine asked me, "Why don't you join to play 5 in a row?" And I joined the club. I met Tommy Maltel, who was the big organizer in those days. And since then, I been faithful to the game.
So this was, what age were you then? That's almost 40 years ago, right?
24.
24.
Mm.
And at that time, you're saying 5 in a row game. That's the Lufarshock in
Yes.
Sweden. So
Yeah.
it wasn't Gomoku or Renshu, but the local game.
3 5 in a row with no
Free.
limitation.
Oh, okay, all right. So at that point, did we have anything international going on in Europe?
No,
Wow.
nothing. At least what I don't know about anything. So when I started, it has been some contacts between countries. I guess it was mostly among mathematicians from different countries who they played on correspondence by letter in those days. And it was during these days Tommy Maltel been in contact with Torben Salle, Danish mathematician, who knew that it was a game called Renju in Japan. So he gave address to Tommy, and Tommy contacted Japanese players. So that was the first step, so to speak.
Right. Wow. And so you played just free Gomoku. Were there any good players? Did people generally speaking know that free Gomoku is a sure-win game?
The players were so good, so it become meaningless to play with these rules, because if you started the game, you win.
Yeah.
And it was some very strange rule we had. We played best of, for example, 9 games, and if it was 4-4, who should start the ninth? So then we counted moves, and the player who has won his game with the least number of moves, he could start in the fifth. so it was interesting. I think Maltel, he became Swedish champion because he found a way to win one move easier than his opponent. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yes.
Absolutely amazing. And you mentioned correspondence by letter.
Yes.
That is pretty unfathomable in these times of internet and everything, you know. Even email would be quite, you know, it would require quite a big you know, commitment and patience to
Yeah.
send a board to your opponent by every move individually by email, but there were people doing those games by letter.
Yes.
Nice.
So I remember many years in the beginning of 80s, I played correspondence with by that time Soviet player, a Latvian player who lived in Riga, Nikludo, and I remember I had to wait maybe 30 days for a move. So in each letter it was. If you play there, I play there, and if you play here, I play there, and so on. So
Okay, so you didn't have to play one
no,
move. I
no.
see.
Mm.
Wow. And so what are the major, if you look at 80s, what are the major steps in terms of progression as a player or the club, you know, when things started moving anywhere?
Yes, I remember it must have been early in the spring of 82. Wataru Ikawa, author of the book, Five in Row Ranger, he came to Copenhagen, and we made a meeting in South Sweden. You know, it's a very short distance. It's
Yeah.
1 hour between Copenhagen and Malmö in that time. So we played some friendship games, I remember. And later that year, we had the first international tournament in Renju in Jönköping, and I was happy to take part in it. It was fantastic in that time because we had such expectations from the Japanese players, and of course they won. Mr. Tanaka from I think he's from Sapporo. He won the tournament, but the most interesting thing was that they had an old player, Shoseki Honda. He was 82 by that time. He was born in 1900, so it's easy to remember. And he beat the 3 best Swedish players. And we just look, wow, and so on. So it was really nice. We call that tournament Swedish Open, and then we had it for in '83 and '84. I remember also.
So you had returning international players
Yes,
already at that point.
yes,
Must have
and
made quite a bit of progress in the game as well to be playing live games with Renju players, Japanese players
yeah.
that won you consistently, and then maybe they gave you some research material, some books.
Yes, we had some. I take some coffee now.
Yep, sure.
We had this Ranyu Sekai magazines with analysis. So we learned quite a lot from that. I remember in those days the opening rules of Ranyu were different. So um, second player could choose opening. So it was mostly indirect 1 or indirect 5, strongest
Yes.
for 1.
Yeah.
But of course, the Japanese play other openings as well
Mm.
because they know theory so much better. And yeah, so we learned. I think we had quite a good knowledge of that theory. So it was so it's some kind of psychology. Now I wonder why didn't we play other moves? It's a lot. It's so many other fifth moves that are good.
Mm.
So, but we followed the tradition and played the best fifth move. So the games were quite a big number of moves, 50, 60. But um, it should be interesting to play these modern moves in that time. It should be interesting to see the result.
Yeah, I agree. Um, so if you look at your as a personal play, as a personal development as a player, the 80s, did you play other tournaments? Did you visit other countries playing besides Sweden?
Yes, I remember I started my studies in Linköping at university. I remember in the autumn of '83, I contacted Soviet players, and but I didn't manage to travel that year. So 2 years later, in '85, Jon Palmgren, a player from Gothenburg, and we went to Moscow and played a tournament. And that was first international tournament in Soviet and first time when Swedish and Soviet players met.
So was it already, was Renju in Sweden before Russia? What's your recollection?
It's about the same time.
Okay.
The story in Soviet was that they have I don't know if the magazine still exists. It's called Now Science and Life, and they had a problem competition, and a lot of people answered these problems. And when they answered to problems, they were invited to tournaments. So Soviet Renju took a big step, especially among students, and they had within a year they had a lot of players.
Yeah.
So
Must
and
have been exciting time, to first of all be a player of 5 in a row, and play it as a hobby and play competitive games within your local club in Sweden somewhere, and then discover that first of all there are others playing Lufarschack in Sweden, and then discover that oh wait, there is a, it's a long game, and there is, excellent players in Asia that have played this game for what, 70, 80 years at that time with Renju rules, and then 4,000 years before that in China with Komoko rules. uh
Mhm.
that like that kind of revelation, it doesn't really happen nowadays anymore, because so much information is readily available in the internet.
Yes. And it was like it was nice to you always discovered things in that time, and not so quickly as nowadays with internet. And also you have to wait quite a long time for things, so it was big expectations and so on. But let me continue about that trip to Moscow.
Yep.
We didn't stop there, but it was fantastic. It was like to coming to like another world in that time, Soviet society compared to Swedish. It was really interesting. But on the other hand, we met players at about the same age as we were, and we quickly realized that we have the same interest, we laughed at the same things, and so on. And that one of the good things with Renju and Five in a Row, that it's easy to make friends.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, and then we continued to go the Trans-Siberian Railway to Beijing through Mongolia, and that was a nice experience. It was you mean you realize how big the planet is. Like we traveled day and night, and in about what could the speed, well, maybe 80, 90 kilometers an hour, but it took 1 week to go
Yeah.
to came to Beijing
What year
at
was
that
this?
time. Yeah.
What year
So
was this? Was this 85?
85, yes. And yes, and then we spent some time in China and went on to Hong Kong, and then we took a plane to Japan, and we came to Kyoto, and because they had the most active players who came to Sweden earlier, especially one, maybe the biggest Renju enthusiast I ever met, Kosho Hayakawa.
Hmm.
He organized a lot of things in that time, and he is like inspiring person for me. I like his heart for the game and so on. It's amazing. But unfortunately, he doesn't play anymore, at least not internationally. Yeah.
Right. Right.
So it was really interesting in those days. And later, the year after, we had a tournament in by that time Leningrad, and it was a nice experience in New Year time. And we were a lot of Swedish players. I mean, 15 or 16. We went there, and we had a really good time. And we played both Gomoko and Renju tournaments there, I remember. And 87, we played in Moscow, a big international tournament with a lot of strong players. And next year, 88, it was Swedish Open again in Stockholm, and it was by that time we founded Renju International Federation. So it was really interesting to have been in this process. It was not easy. We didn't know how to organize it, So I wrote to FIDE, Chess Federation, and asked about their statutes, and I more or less copied them, and some changes for Renju, of course.
Yeah.
And then we also added that Japan, Soviet, and Sweden are founder members with the right of veto.
Yeah.
And I know many people think that is crazy, but in that time it was by a reason, because in that time Pente started to become popular, and Parker Brothers, an American company, they actually owned the game, and we were afraid that they, for some reason, could own Renju and Gomoko, and we have nothing to say about it.
Yeah.
So that's the reason. Yeah.
And of course, to secure, I understand securing so that, if the game in numbers of players is still growing, and there's not a whole lot of countries part of RIF in the early years, then it would be kind of easy to just hijack it by
Yes.
creating clubs in 10 countries and sign them up for RIF as member countries, and then when decisions in terms of leadership or anything else, you could just have those countries to vote whatever you want to.
Yes.
So in that sense, it makes perfect sense to secure it.
Yes. Yes. But in that time also we decided about to have the first World Championship in Japan, of course. And we also made that we should have 10 players in the high league of World Championship, so to speak. So before I talk about World Championship, I remember also my memories are not so much about games, but about tournaments. And one really nice tournament was in Vladimir later that year, '88. It was a team tournament, and we were amazed to find so many strong Soviet teams. It was from all parts of Soviet. It was Latvia, Armenia, Moscow, South region, East region, and so on. And we realized that we have a lot to learn from these Soviet players.
Yeah.
But it was a really nice tournament in that time, I remember.
Yeah, in the previous episode, Oleg Pulatovsky also speaks about his first tournament in Russia being the Vladimir Open, and speaks very highly of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and also one big memory of '88 is that in that time, a Swedish player, Thomas Hagenfors, very big enthusiast, he made a Gomoko championship in Skara in South Sweden with more than 200 participants. Today it looks like storytelling, but actually it's true. He was phenomenal in making PR to get sponsors and so on. And it's really a nice memory compared with the situation in Sweden now with Renju and Gomoko.
Yeah.
But it's a nice memory. anyway.
For sure. You know, having couple hundred players, it must be a nice tournament. We have those numbers somewhere in Asia, even bigger numbers now. But certainly in Europe, maybe the individual world championship could gather with the spectators, maybe a couple
Mm.
hundred people in all together for a couple of weeks. But national championships, uh, yeah, nothing close to that. Um, so
Mm.
mm, in
Mm.
the early years, still those are big developments when it comes to Renju. When did you take the reign of RIF?
Sorry, when?
When did you take the reign? When did you become the chairman of RIF?
2001. I was secretary before that from the start.
And Tommy Maltel was the chief.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
you became you were the RIF president until very recently, a couple years ago,
Uh, 2015. Yes.
2015. So 14 years.
Yes. Mm. But by the way, I thought like one thing like in those days in 80s in the Swedish Ranjung Gomoko we had it's interesting to it was so easy to spread the game. Um, we like when I started at university, it was not a single player in that town, and I remember I wrote by hand posters and photocopied them and put them at universities, schools, library, shops, and so on, and I get 20 players for local championship. Today it's not possible. It's a different situation, but in that time it was possible to do things like that. And also we had older member. He passed away 2 or 3 years ago. Um, he was a very funny man. He had many different jobs and I get he had a big family, so he had to get a lot of money. So he went to supermarkets all over South Sweden, and he said, "I'm the champion of five in row in Sweden. Come and play with me. If you win, you get the prize." And it was a long line of players who wanted to win, and each player who played, he gave a small pamphlet. You can read more about this and about tournaments. And he wrote down telephone numbers and addresses for the people who are very interested and so on. So we get a lot of players by such thing also.
Yeah, I think that when you don't have internet, when you don't have hundreds or thousands of games readily available for you right away, then
Mm.
it is possible to do that, and it's
Mm.
easier to get people attracted in those mechanisms and those ways. If we look back in the history of entertainment and games, the variability or uh, the options for any person, if they wanted to play something, it must have been very limited, decades ago. But now everything is online, and I think I like we have had these conversations on the podcasts before, and
Mm.
like my understanding now is it's not a bad thing that we have all these computer games, esports. We have mind sports as well, but many guests have said that in their opinion, those games are taking some space from the mind sports and from the smaller games like Gomoku and Renju. But
Yeah.
I think it is my perspective is that maybe we haven't leveraged the new technology well enough to use
Yeah.
it for our purposes, and I don't think it's late to I don't think it's too late to start doing it. And for example, podcasts or leveraging YouTube or social media, these things weren't there, 40 years ago, not even 20 years ago. And internet started, you know, very simply on just having passive websites, and then
Mm.
some services we had online rent class, yes, but other than that we didn't really, like, as a community, global community, we didn't really leverage those technologies. uh,
Yeah.
and I think those times are in front of us. I think this
Yeah.
game is absolutely brilliant. It's super, like, sophisticated. It is helpful. It is engaging. It is. Uh, we have many things that we could do to popularize these games
Yeah.
if we create interesting content and show people the depth of thinking when you analyze a certain position on the board, or you can show, if you show a world championship tournament and present that to the world consistently years after years,
Mm.
I think it could become so much easier to popularize this game. But it doesn't happen right away. It doesn't happen overnight,
Yeah.
and but I think that the approach, and if we decide to just be stagnant and try the old ways, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work. But if popularizing and leveraging the technologies and the tools and platforms newer generations use, maybe there is some
Yeah.
development to do.
Yes, I agree totally because uh, old things doesn't work anymore. At my club, we had for many years school championships. We sent letters to all schools around here, and normally we could have 20, 30 pupils taking part. And the last time I tried, we didn't get one reply. So I think it's like maybe, for example, I work in the school, so I know we are drowning in information,
Yeah.
and in old times people had they could have some time to do extra things. Now it's more stress in work also, and a lot of more information to take care about. So definitely we need to find other ways. I thought a little about it. I bought a new web camera recently, and I plan to make lessons in 5 in a row, and then introduce Gomoku and Renju.
Super
And
nice.
yes, and to spread it via social media.
Are you planning on
Uh,
doing it in Swedish or English?
Swedish, I think. When you've done it in Swedish, it's easier to translate.
But still, translation is not the same thing as we see. Dima Epifanov is doing his YouTube channel. Check out it on the link
Mm.
above here, there, and do subscribe. But he's doing his teaching in Russian, and even if he has translations, it's not really the same thing. So please still consider uh, doing it in English. It would be a big bonus for the global community if there were such, content in English language. and I'm happy to help, with my channel if need be, and the community absolutely supports. And I think we would need that kind of content, just basics and more advanced teachings as well.
Yes. So, yes, it's interesting, really. So where were we? We were back in 1989.
Yeah.
Yes, also nice memories. We were a group of Swedish players who intended to go to Japan, and I checked airplane ticket. I remember in that time it was ticket, two-way ticket to Japan was 900 euro, and to go all around the world with 4 stops was 1100 euro. So Stefan Karlsson, Johan Holgersson, and we bought such tickets, and we went to first to America and visited a Russian radio player in Baltimore, and then we went to Fiji Islands, to Australia, Japan, and home. And it was such a fantastic trip. And maybe that time of my life I spent most time by practicing, because Stefan Karlsson has qualified for the Gomoko World Championship, and he was at my club. So during this trip, it took 3 weeks before we came to Japan. We practiced every day, more 5-6 hours. Playing and analyzing and so on. And I realized I become a so much stronger player myself during that training. So in Japan, they had like a B tournament in Gomoko, and actually I won this tournament. I was in such a good shape, and had quite good analysis. In this time we played with pro rules, with 5x5 zone. Yes, and but the first World Championship, it was fantastic. It was first time we saw the legend Shigeru Nakamura,
who ended up winning the Renchi tournament.
Yes, he won everything. So yes, it was fantastic, and the Japanese player was number 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we saw like players, Soviet players, who were definitely much better than we were. They lost to quite easily to this Japanese. So it was interesting. It was first time we saw really strong players in that time. Yeah.
What was the Japanese approach early years then to, sharing their game, so to speak, to the world?
But they published all games from major tournaments to this Renju Sekai.
Yeah.
So 1 month later we had them, and it spread quite quickly among Swedish Renju community, I remember. So we especially looked at Nakamura's games and so on.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so if you look at your own as a player on those early years or early decades, do you recall any good achievements as a player? Were you always approximately your current level, or how would you describe you as a player?
I haven't. Normally, I don't practice so much or analyzing. So I think I kept about the same level. Maybe developed a little bit, of course, but not any big steps. I got in 85, I think I got first dan level. And now I think I'm five
Yeah,
dan.
I would
Yeah,
say around that. Yeah.
yeah. So of course a little bit better with more experience, but so when I retired from my job, I have much more time, and then I will shock the world. Maybe.
Do you still have like I find it fascinating to see players like yourself who have played for 35, 40 years and they still have the passion to actually participate in tournaments and uh, provide consistent results and participate. There are many other ways to contribute to the community as a teacher or an organizer or doing many things around it besides playing. And unfortunately many players kind of step away from active playing, but I wonder what makes you special and others like you special, that you can still derive pleasure for competing, even if not competing for titles necessarily, but keeping your level up.
Yeah. Yes, I think maybe that's one reason, because titles are not really results not so very important to me. So I still play for having a good time. That's it. And I seen through the years, I seen many players. I think the reason why they stopped playing is that they don't develop anymore, and maybe they are little not so good results, and then they realize how much time it takes,
Yeah.
and they realize they don't have the time, and sadly many players quit totally.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
wonder, what could be the cure, because I think, I never competed for titles myself, but you know on my prime I was maybe borderlining 4 dan, they say, 3 dan, 4 dan as a player. But even if I don't play for years, and then I don't mind participating in tournament, even if I play 1 dan level by not practicing or playing at all for years, then I can still enjoy the game and it doesn't matter to me. So I
Mm.
wonder how could we promote this kind of behavior and just have players who have been 6 dan, 7 dan, 8 dan, even 8 dan players at some point, and
Mm.
to have them enjoy it after a few years, after they've been stagnant or haven't been participating for one reason or the other. And
Mm.
it's a shame, in my opinion, that many players then decide, if I can't win, if I can't play at the best level I've once played, where's the point in that?
Mm. Yeah.
So
So, but I have one idea about how to find these, so to speak, lost souls and
yeah,
get them back. We have since 1996 we have junior youth world championship, and I think it's about the time to have like a senior world championship for older players, and that could be a good reason for a player who has been away from Renju for some time to come back and to meet friends from old days.
yeah,
And it's not so important about titles. It's more to meet and have a good time. And
yes,
I have like idea. Either we can have such tournament at the same time as youth championship is going on, or we can have it like, for example, go to Malta. It's nice in summer and
Thailand,
play.
Thailand,
Yes,
Thailand.
yes, Yes, 3 days playing, and then swimming, have a good time for a couple of days, and then
Yeah,
back. I think that will be nice. So um, I must write about it's a RIF meeting in a General Assembly on 8th of August. So I will write something about it, a proposal from Swedish Federation
yeah.
about this. Mm.
It's a long-lasting dream for me to organize a recurring tournament in Thailand. I never really got around to do it, but I've been
Mm.
speaking about it for 15 years, pretty much since ever since I started, you know, visiting Asia, mid 2000s. And yeah, I'm hoping, and I've been talking about it for so long to so many people, and I would say that 20, 25, 30 people maybe responded to me like, yeah, if you make one, I'll visit it. Of course, if it's in Malta, would be easier. My recommendation, if RAF were to organize such an event in Malta, don't do it just 3 days. Have a whole week of funds, and it
Mm.
would be a good if you introduce it way earlier, like not just 2 3 months before, but perhaps 6 months in advance. Then people can, schedule their holidays as
Yes,
well.
yeah. But now we have also Greece and Turkey. We have some players there, so
Yeah,
I mean to go to Turkey is quite easy. It's not so much traveling, and it's definitely cheaper than Thailand, I think.
yeah,
Airplane tickets and so on.
yes,
So yeah, but it's one idea I had. It should be. I met the last 2 years ago at World Championship. I met Aldis Reims, who was a player from old days. I met him first time in '86, I think. And I spoke with him about this idea, and he said maybe it sounds good, and I think maybe more players will join.
yeah.
Mm.
I see why not. I think I think when I visit tournaments over the last 10 years, I see familiar faces, stopping by in one day or just stopping by in a, dinner or whatnot, just to say hi, and
Yeah.
I can feel the longing back for them, their
Mm.
eyes. I can see that they've missed being part of the community, and they're just kind of waiting and out to come back in somehow, and be part of the community. And I think this kind of tournament or event would be an easy way for them to say, hey, I'll go there, I'll play some 5 in a row games, no matter what the results might be. And then nobody is expecting any great results, because if somebody hasn't played for 5 years or 10 years or 20 years, nobody expects anything. But then the skill, it doesn't really go away if they're not blitz games, especially, like, at least for myself, I feel like I can, if it's a long time control, 2 hours or 1.5 hour or 1 hour per player per game,
Mm.
it doesn't matter if I didn't play for 3 years. It was actually a fun story, at least for myself. 2013, the World Championships in Tallinn.
Mm.
I went there just to meet old friends. I had a little bit of holiday from work, and I just went there for just say hi. I wasn't planning
Mm.
on playing at all, and
Mm.
Hans pretty much told, you're here, you're playing, right? And I said, no, no,
Yes.
no, qualification, absolutely not. But then he said, okay, play B tournament, and I made my best result, not having played for 3 years before that. I
Mm.
got 6 points, and I was sixth in the B tournament out of 9 games.
Mm. Yeah.
And I second that a few years afterwards. I think it was maybe 2017 or I'm not sure, but I got 6 points. But maybe 2 years ago, 2019. But anyways, I haven't played at all, but it's still fun, super fun to play.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even now, I mean, like enjoying online gaming as well, which is somewhat unheard of.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But we're all waiting for the first day. We not thinking about the corona or
yeah,
COVID-19. I mean, it has been around for more than 1 year, constantly every day. I mean, I'm 63. I have to be a little careful,
yeah,
and to be all day in school with pupils. I've been thinking
yeah.
many thoughts, and I long for that day when we can leave that behind us and play live tournaments. I haven't played since February last year.
I'm hoping that this summer we'll have some live tournaments. At least they're speaking now in Czech Republic, then maybe Czech Open in Pardubice could
Yes,
be
I see.
possible. Or um, Ants was mentioning Karepa as
Hmm.
well as a Karepa camp. I don't know specifics, but I think things are moving forward. People are getting vaccinated. I don't think this is not legal or medical advice to any sorts, but I think the world is healing, and I don't think COVID goes away. I think it
Hmm.
will stay with us for years, but I think the world will have to adjust, and I think at least in Western countries, majority of people are getting vaccines. And when the situation is that 70% of adult people, 80% adult people are vaccinated 2 or 3 times in the next year or so, I think there is not really any viable way for governments to keep to travel down. I
No.
think traveling, tourism is such a big part of GDP for many countries. I don't think they can keep it down.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
unfortunately, my assessment at the moment is that it's not going anywhere. Like
Yeah.
it might go lighter, but we still have to be careful, especially
Yeah.
with like older people, even older than yourself or myself. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But maybe we thought like to playing. We haven't had any meetings at our club here in Jönköping, and uh, I thought maybe we can start at least this summer if we're sitting outdoors
yeah,
and and I mean the most important thing is to speak and so on and meet, and maybe it's possible we can sit with one computer but maybe 2-3 meters away from each other. I mean, we can play and we can chat. It's not like a real tournament, but it's much better
yes,
than it's one step better than online tournaments.
I
Yeah.
agree,
Mm.
absolutely agree. And I think if there is a will, there is a way, and
Yeah.
one way or the other, I'm sure we'll have some tournaments, and
Mm.
yeah, I'm looking forward to going back to Estonia and to Central Europe and to Thailand, of course, and many
Yeah.
other countries. So
Yeah.
uh, I miss
So
those events. I haven't been
yeah.
traveling every year to every event, but you mentioned when we had the preparation session that yourself you have been traveling for years, and about one tournament or one event per month average. So it's a big difference if you can't do that.
Yes. Yes, and it's still so many places to visit. I remember it was last spring, last year, it was a tournament in Lodz. Bulatowski was organizer. I planned to go there.
Yeah.
I get vacation from my job, but then
Yeah.
it wasn't possible. Yeah. So,
I was considering as well, but then I broke my leg. And, yeah, couple months not going anywhere.
Yeah. So where were we in time? Maybe it was 89 still, yes.
I think we
Maybe I
tapped
jumped.
into 99 as well a little bit there, but feel free to move
Yeah.
back if you like. There are no
Yeah.
rules.
Yeah. So I moved back to 4 years forward to 93. It was very interesting year for me. It's interesting when talking about stress. People can get sick from stress, but it's when you can't decide about conditions. You must do it. You feel no joy, and then people get hurt.
Yeah.
But I remember that year, I never had such a stress in my life. In spring 93, we were planning a world championship in Arjeplog, and I was organizer. And it took so much time, especially it was a lot of issues with visa for players and so on. And at the same time, I worked full time, and I recorded 12 songs in studio. Among these songs, Ranger is the game. And actually, during this period, I slept 4 or 5 hours. And during summer, I was occupied all the time with this tournament. And after, I remember it was like the air went out of a balloon. Poof.
Yeah.
And it was nothing. And it was amazing. Like, what should I do now? So I tried to read a book. How did I do? I read, and then after one page, what did I read? I went to garden, take away some things, and I was like a rabbit. Woof, 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 woof. So I couldn't do anything slowly for 1 month. It was really interesting, but it was a great time. I don't regret it at all. It was very nice. And speaking about that tournament, it's another thing I've been thinking about the future of Renju. In that time, it was a chess organizer, Jan Berglund. He had organized chess tournaments with the top players, Karpov and so on. And I noticed that he was like a kind of entrepreneur. He was not, he could hardly play the game, but he was interested into making it a great event. So I think what the Renju and Gomoku world needs most of all is such person. Maybe not a player, but an entrepreneur with great visions and so on. I think it's really necessary because we are at that step in international Renju that we depend on people who do work on their free time and so on, and we can't get so much bigger without like a bigger organization, sponsors, and so on.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree with what you just said, and
Mm.
my approach has been that association work is vital. It's very important to have associations to do certain things, organizing, uh, protecting the game. But unless
Mm.
there is business involved, it's very difficult to have active association people to do the toughest things that are like work. It's very difficult because it's not a walk in the park, calling companies for sponsorships. And if you do
Mm.
that without any financial incentive, uh, I think it's a tough road. Even if there is financial incentive to do it, many decide not to go through it because it's not easy, and
Mm.
many other aspects when it comes to business. Uh,
Mm.
they're tough. They're not easy to do. Not everybody can do it, and not
No.
everybody who could do it would do it for free.
Mm. Yeah. So, but we hope that one day such person show up.
Yes,
Mm.
and maybe a group of people. Maybe there is, a room to have constant development in the business approach, um, and not have only one person to do that.
Yeah.
I myself, like, I really much like to work on development for Gomoku and Renju, but I have distanced myself purposefully from the association work, because I
Mm.
don't feel like if I put in a lot of hours, a lot of effort, uh, I don't feel it's enough for me personally that uh, uh,
Mm.
the association grows, but and the community flourishes and the games are getting better. But I think it's important also to have a possibility to have personal benefit as well. But
Mm.
I don't think anybody alone can do a lot. I think I think if there are like-minded people, and I think it would be that kind of approach would be better to have a company to drive the financial aspect on the
Mm.
developments, rather
Yes,
than
but
just.
but also such person could be inspiration for others. I remember
Yeah,
in '88 when we had this big Swedish championship. Thomas Hagenfors inspired other people to maybe do 1,000 hours spent on this championship.
yeah,
I did a lot of things. Um I traveled all around South Sweden and held small tournaments and made propaganda PR for that and so on. So uh, yes,
yeah. It's just or organizing is fun. I like
yes,
organizing tournaments. But there's a big difference between picking up a phone and calling companies, or going there to keep presentations of what is Renju or Gomoku, and actually saying those words. Can you financially support us, and prove that being part of a long-term development. um, if it was easy, I think RIF would have done it already. But
mm,
how would you incentivize those salespeople to do that?
yeah, yeah. I don't know. If I knew the answer, I
Yeah,
should have done it to find such a person. It's not easy.
I think maybe it's not so much about the person. Maybe it's about the process. If RIF, let's say that RIF would make a plan for finding funds for Renju development, and the goal would be to employ 2 people within the next couple of years, full-time employees for RIF. And if those 2 people would use their time as in full-time employees to gather funds for entry development, to make those calls, and they would be compensated based on their results, something like that. Maybe it would work, maybe
Yeah.
not, but like my point is, it's very difficult to get people to do the hard work for free if it's not something they wouldn't enjoy doing for their own free time.
Yeah.
But I think my interests on the development is content creation now, and help out the communities in terms of or maybe help organizing tournaments and showing the world what kind of games there are, what kind of events there could be, and then have these conversations. Perhaps we can form a company as well, and still keep on working together with the global associations, whether that's RIF or Gomoku organizations in Central Europe. And I think something is happening in Asia now. Like the numbers of people in China, we have very little of accurate information in terms of players. I think in Epifanov's episode, Dima mentioned that in Shanghai there was a tournament of 9,000 people, and China would have 50,000 players. I think that's like plausible. We have Omok communities in Korea. We have Karo communities in Vietnam. And with both Omok and Karo on YouTube, you can find channels with tens of thousands of subscribers and videos up to 500,000 or 800,000 videos views. So it's like, I think the potential for the games Gomoku and Renju are absolutely great. In terms of players in Europe, how many players would you say we have in Europe, including Russia now?
It depends on how you count. When playing online, I sometimes I play with and I lost, and I think, wow, this was a good player, and then I watch statistics. This player 8,000 games or so on, and this is a good play, but maybe never showed up to. I never seen this person on a live tournament.
Yes.
And counting with that, I think maybe a couple of thousand.
Yeah, I think so too. And but the RAF reach, as in profiles on RenjuNet, I think it's somewhere 4,000, and many of them have played 1 or 2 tournaments. So we're still talking about hundreds or maybe few thousands of players globally on those numbers, or maybe in Europe. But I think the big picture is much bigger. I think the addressable market for 5-in-a-row games, when we look at countries like Sweden or Finland, you have your game called Lufarshak, and we have our game called Ristinolla. And in Finland, every single person in Finland knows the word Ristinolla. There are songs about Ristinolla, and every kid, when they grow up, when they're in maths class or wherever, when they're bored, they have a piece of paper and pencil. They'll play five in a row game, Ristinolla, and at
Mm.
least the brighter ones. They play at some point, and some of them like it, and some of them go and play online. But I think it's a marketing problem if we can't harness that, even if they're interested in the game, if they don't know that there is a game called Gomoku and it's highly
Mm.
competitive, uh,
Mm.
not to mention Renju, uh,
Yeah.
it's tough for them to move forward. And I think what Central European organizations in Czech Republic, for instance, what they're doing is they're tapping into uh, that place where they kids they play uh, Pisquarki, they play the five
Mm.
in a row game themselves. So they go to schools and they say, "Hey, we're organize a tournament. You play against yourselves," and then they go and speak to the best players and say, "Hey, you guys are doing quite well. Would you like to go and participate in our tournament? We have this game called Komoku, and it's basically the same game, but you're
Mm.
at the entry level skill wise now. And if you want to get better and enjoy the community and participate in tournaments, you're invited." I think this
Mm.
it's quite brilliant. But if somebody would make that happen, uh, like scalable way, global way, have an online Renju class or something, some place that is working and developing all the time, and
Mm.
have engaging Renju problems or tournaments. I think I would say that it's not the question of if it happens. I think it's a question when it happens. And I think
Mm.
the potential is massive. Absolutely great when it comes
Yeah.
to harnessing the numbers of players who play five in a row games in the world.
Yeah. And I think also the last time we had a quite big input of new players was uh, 2003-4. By that time, it was a Swedish TV company who had a site for they can play card games, chess, reverse, and word games, and so on. And among these games, it was also Gomoko. And I understand that most players who play there, it was just socially. They have no ambitions. But we saw that it was some players who are coming back and were quite strong and they took part in online tournaments and later on they came to live tournaments
Yeah,
like Björn Lind, Rickard Sandström and Emma Hjelve and so on. So if we can find a popular site and introduce Gomoko to them, it could help a lot.
that's how I was recruited. We had the same time scale. It was actually 2002. I happened to play in the springtime. I was working as a practical trainee for an IT company in Finland, and I was bored. I didn't have much work to be done, so I played in Pasimaailma, which was pretty much the same setting. I think it was owned by a broadcasting company in Finland, and later on it became Yippee Games, and uh, then I think MTV or something. I don't know what happened to that, but anyways,
Mm.
yeah, the Finnish players, they came and recruited me. They came to say, "Okay, you're doing pretty well, and have you heard of that this game is a sure win?" No. Okay, okay. You come with us to this game server called playsite.com, if you recall,
Mm. Yeah.
Playsite. And then I played a couple months there with Vietnamese, mainly Vietnamese. I think Tunet was playing everywhere, but
Mm.
and then Gambler and itsyourturn.com, and then I heard of online Renju class, and
Mm.
I started waiting for. I think I waited for 2 months or 3 months to become a student every day,
Mm.
waiting. Is there
Yes.
a vacancy? Is there a vacancy?
Yeah.
So it would be great to pump some life into something similar, maybe Renju class, online Renju class, or maybe something similar. I think
Yeah.
I think there are quite a many people who are who are now looking what is happening, when is happening, something is happening, what is happening.
Mm.
This Click of Stones initiative, I see in the Facebook community, if I post something, within the first day we have 100 or 150 views of that. People
Mm.
are lurking around, and I think 20 people or 30 people would jump into the chance if there was something concrete happening, an online teaching, online school for Gomoku, or online school for Renchu, or something like that. People want that, and
Mm.
but I don't know what kind of service could that be. And
Mm.
like, if I find some people, a group of people who would like to do that for not for 1 year, but for 10 years or 20 years, and give back to the community, I think it would be great to build up a company and have the like a mission statement to help the communities to grow, but also to make money out of it.
Mm.
Uh, I think I would be interested in investing to that a considerable amount of money and time, and
Mm.
we are in talks. We are in talks
Yeah.
with many people, and we'll see what
Mm.
happens. But
Oh.
I
You
think
see, just a sec. Knock on my door. I
yeah.
just opened.
Let's Peter. Let's keep a 2 minute break, shall we?
Okay.
All right. Cheers.
Ah. So I'm back.
All right, I'm back.
Yeah.
I gotta
So I have to
refresh
move my car.
a little bit. What was that?
We do some work in the garden, so my car was too close,
Ah,
so
okay.
I have to move.
No, no big problem. It was
No,
much appreciated break for me as well. I got a little bit of a refreshment.
yeah.
I normally say it's pretty good beer, but it's not Kolk beer. You know
Mm.
our friend Peter Kolk in
Uh,
in Estonia. He had a dream of building a brewery, and then he went
okay.
on and did it. It's great, absolutely
Okay.
great beer. If you go when you go to Tallinn next time, you can find it everywhere. Cold beer.
Oh, but maybe I can order it.
Yes.
Maybe players around the world they don't know that in Norway, Finland, and Sweden we have like a state company selling alcohol.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not allowed to sell in ordinary shops. So it's it's plus and minuses. But one plus is that I can order beer or wine or liquor from practically anywhere from around the world. But I have to order like a box. Maybe if I buy
Yeah.
beer, maybe I have to order 20 bottles in a box or something. But definitely. But what is it called, by the way?
Cold beer.
Oh,
Kolk.
cold beer.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm every stream I'm doing is I'm mentioning when I'm having this is a very light beer. It's like what you would have in Sweden. I think it's even lighter. This is 2.5 alcohol. So
Okay.
it just takes some of the edge off. For believe me or not, even after 10 episodes of doing this, I'm a little bit nervous still. So to have a little bit of light beer, it eases it up. But the reason why I'm saying it's good beer but not cold beer is I'm trying to fish out the sponsorship from Peter.
Okay.
So beer sponsorship for Click of Stones. That's all I'm after.
Yeah.
And he
Sounds
said
good.
he also already said a little bit of yeah he'll
Mm.
go for that, but
Oh,
we'll
so
see.
I will look in shop tomorrow, see what I can do about it.
It's great memories. I remember a
Yeah.
trip to Tartu. He was studying in Tartu, and
Mm.
he took me to the university building. If I'm not mistaken, the Finnish the peace war peace was signed in the Tartu University. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm talking out of somewhere. But anyways, we were there in the basement, and he was drinking for a couple of hours back in the day when I was still drinking. So and he said, "Jussi, I have this dream. One day I will have a brewery, a big brewery." I said, "Yeah, go for it, go for it." Now he has big like serious brewery, and it's not a small thing. So you can find cold beer anywhere in Estonia.
Okay. Nice.
I'll send Peter this YouTube clip when this will be in YouTube. I'll send him this part.
Well, maybe we can go back to Estonia in 95.
Yeah.
Even if the championship was in Estonia, I was organized there. I went there 2 weeks prior to the tournament and helped a lot. And that tournament has a special place in my memory because I played in B tournament and I played with a Russian girl. And we played, if I'm not mistaken, in direct 11 with the second best move. And And after I played, I saw just same name as Alexei Skuridin, but Skuridina. So I thought it was Alexei's wife. So I said, Alexei, you have a very beautiful wife. It's not wife, it's my sister, he said. And so that's how Olga and I met. And 4 years later, we married. So thanks to Renju.
Very lucky.
Yes.
Very lucky.
So and it's not the first. It's like Stefan Karlsson also met Irene and so on.
Marco.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And I heard also with some Chinese players also met their husband through Renju. So it's all around the world, same thing. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. 95. What to speak more? Yes. Then we started with team championship 96. First time I didn't play, but I was there as a spectator. And in 1998, we decided to have a Team World Championship in Armenia, but it didn't turn out well because in the end the Swedish team was the only team who got there. So it was the smallest Team World Championship ever. But on the other hand, that was one of my best Renju trips ever. We had such a good time. We played this championship, and then we had an open tournament, and we had a lot of sightseeing and so on. And it was in September, and in September in Armenia is perfect, 20, 25 degrees, and so on. It's very nice. So I hope to go back to Armenia sometime.
Would be nice.
Have you been there, you see?
I have never been to Armenia now. Would be nice to visit.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that when you met Olga, was that 85, 95?
95, yes.
95. Have you already been before that? Have you visited Tallinn for Renchi tournaments? And when did Tallinn enter?
When we for the 99 World Championship, we had some contact with Latvian players, and two of Latvian players, Alice Reims and Anders Anderssons, they stayed at my place here in Huskvarna and worked here during the summer. And then we went back and we took the ferry to Tallinn, and then went to Riga, and then to Moscow by train. So it was first time I visited Tallinn. We didn't play there, but we had a small pre-tournament in Riga with Estonian players in that time, I remember. And the first real tournament, it was 94 European Championship. I was there as a spectator, I remember. Yeah.
Nice. And after
but
that,
I've been there many times.
Yeah, and after that, Tallinn became one of the central hubs for Renju in Europe, which it still is today.
Yeah.
Do you?
By the way, I forgot one thing. One great memory is also a summer of '94. In Sweden, we call that football summer because we took a bronze medal in World Cup in football. And I remember all those games where I watched it and so on. And all that summer was football and Renju. So I went to Arjeplog for a tournament and watched Sweden Cameroon play, and then back to Sweden, and then we went to Karapa camp, and we played some Randy there, and I remember Sweden played with Brazil, and all the other players from other countries said Sweden has no chance to win, blah blah blah. But Sweden made a 1-1. I remember,
That
and
was
it
with
was
what year was that?
94.
94.
Yes,
Already in
and
Karepa. Wow.
yes. Yeah, and later that summer, after World Cup finished, Anders Bertilsson and I went to Japan for 2 weeks, travel around South Japan and took part in a Tokyo Open tournament. So it was a very nice summer. Such things possible only if you're a bachelor, not if you're married. It's out of question to do such things.
Unless you
But
have Renji tournament there.
yes, mm,
That's the way to organize a tournament in Thailand, by the way.
yeah, yes, maybe. And by the way, you should organize a tournament in Helsinki also. I've been there for I think 3 or 4 times to play, and it's nice. It's a good trip for a couple of days, and have some sightseeing and traveling on the boat and so on. It's nice.
Yeah,
So
I
will
think
you make?
I think Ants was organizing Helsinki Open even before our Finnish Renju Federation was formed,
Yes,
and Marco was playing
yes,
those.
I remember.
Maybe Samuli as well. I'm not sure of that, but
No, only Marco, I remember.
okay. And then
Mm.
2003, we formed the association and started hosting these Helsinki Opens, and we
Mm.
did that until 2008 or 2009.
Mm.
But after that, Marco moved abroad. I moved abroad, and then our activity kind of collapsed.
Mm.
But we had a pleasure organizing the Team World Championships 2008 here, and
Mm.
that was absolutely fantastic. And when you said that organizing that one tournament was exhausting, I I could relate 100%. You know, being the main organizer for the event and playing at the same time
Yes.
for Finnish, like just after that month, it wasn't only the week of an event or week and a half. I don't recall exactly how long the Team World Championships are, but I was before and after I was just famished.
Yeah.
But
Yes, but
it was great
yes, a
experience,
nice
and
tournament. Yeah.
thank you. And
Mm.
Helsinki Opens are fun. It's like weekend tournament, and
Mm.
quite a few people keep asking me when is the next Helsinki Open, and I don't really have an answer to that, but I'm hoping to be able to organize not a Helsinki Open, a Super Move memorial for the memory of my brother Jari Konen, who sadly
Mm.
passed away last July. So he coined the phrase super move, which is both attacking and defending at the same time. So Jari was an avid uh, Renju player and
Mm.
did some semi okay results as well. But he passed away last year. So the plan is to organize uh, one weekend tournament every year here in Helsinki and maybe some other places as well.
Mm.
So I guess
Mm.
my priorities lie in making that event happen.
Yeah. Okay, so what's more? Of course, 99 in China World Championship was nice. Very hot. It was plus 40, I remember. So it was in and out from air condition to street. So I remember I had a cold. So
Yeah, it's very common to
mm,
get a cold from air
yes,
conditioning.
yeah, and uh, well, of course it has been many nice tournament since then. You asked me about biggest achievement. I remember 15 years ago we took part in same tournament. You remember Baltic League in Stockholm?
Yeah,
Yes, and I got second place before Under Merity on third place. I remember, and Ivo won, and I had such a opportunity to win all tournament, but we played a draw, direct three. I remember, and but I think I had such a good position for winning. So, but another time I will do the correct move.
about Swedish tournaments, Baltic League was well known, and then maybe the most well known Swedish tournament is the Swedish Open Team Championships. I
Yes.
believe that that tournament is still on
Yes,
when the
we
COVID situation resumed.
yes, we spoke about it. Actually, I spoke to Björn Lind yesterday, and we said, I wonder if we can hold this tournament in November. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I have some good memories participating in that event,
Hmm. Yes,
so highly
and
recommend.
yes, and Irina Metriveli used to come and bring some of her pupils quite often. I remember. So. Mhm.
Nice. And how about what are your best memories, or do you recall any good stories over the last 15 years?
Well,
You have participated most of the um, title tournaments.
yes. Uh, but recently I've been referee in many tournaments. So, but I enjoy it actually. It's like 2 years ago I was main referee in Tallinn Championship, and it's nice. I like I have access to all games in high league, and I can, of course, I can watch the moves, but I can also watch how people look in the faces. I can see how many minutes they have left, and so on. And I also go down and write down the moves and publish it on Rangenet, more or less live.
Yeah.
So I like that very much.
What is the most
It's
challenging part of being a referee?
when things happen, it's not written down any rules about it. I can recall some things like in 99 championship in China. I wasn't referee, but I was in referee commission, and Igor Sinyov and Under Merity played, and Sinyov made a mistake in beginning. He forgot to put his second move. So I mean, it should be easy for Ando to win. It's so, but we said it was like impossible move, and it was such obvious mistake, and we punished Sinyov with taking away 20 minutes of his time,
Okay.
and to play the correct move, and I think it's what was quite good. And then in last championship, it was problem with the clocks. These electronic clocks, if you don't push on the center of the button, it can happen that you push, but nothing happens. So it was for Saudon, his time went out. And but I remember, I think it was Vladimir Sushkov who said, I saw him press the clock, actually.
Yeah.
So it must have been, so we set the clocks and they continue to play the game. And yes, I think it's basically wrong if such details should make the result of a game.
I agree.
So, but sometimes it's not so easy because you have to make a decision quickly. You can't
Yeah.
wait for hours.
Yes.
And sometimes it's pressure from friends of players. You must do this and you must do that. So
Yeah.
you have to stand there yourself.
Yes. I think it's easy if everything goes well. It's easy to be a referee, but
Yes.
when things get heated up and as you said, a very prompt affirmative action is required, and you need to assess all the angles. Then suddenly it's not that easy. I guess you get better if you're taking that road and being a main referee for years and years and even decades. Then you get experience and you get authority, and people respect your decisions. Then it gets a little bit easier. But interesting way. I don't know if I could try that out at some point, but as I said, it's probably easy when everything is smooth sailing, but after a while, and what's your recommendation for somebody who hasn't never been a referee in Renju or Komaku tournament? Reading the rules, I suppose.
Yes. And I think it's about learning step by step, and listen to others if they have a good piece of advice and so on.
Yeah. Were you the main referee in Helsinki, the Team World Championships, 2008? Yeah. I recall you might have been. But it limits a little bit of your own play as well, but you don't mind.
No, I think it's as fun as playing.
Yeah.
And no, mostly, for example, if I like in Tallinn, I could still play QT, and theoretically I have a chance to go to AT, but practically not. So I can play there and have a good time, and then be a referee full time.
Have you ever played a tournament?
No.
Are you planning to?
I don't know. I must have a little bit of luck, but also preparations. Do you remember 2007 in Tumen?
Yeah.
You were there?
Yes.
And before that tournament, it was first time I played QT, and I prepared quite thoroughly. And I don't remember if I took 4 or 4.5 points. And I was not so far away from enter 18. So maybe if I can spend a lot of time for preparation, maybe I have a small chance. But of course, it has to be a luck.
Do you think qualifying on the QT is more realistic than qualifying as a country place if you're organizing country?
How do you mean?
When a country organizes a World Championship tournament,
Oh,
then you
we
get a
have three
country
places.
country place.
Yes, it's easier, I think. We are maybe 6, 7 players who are at the same level or
Yeah.
about the same level, and you have to beat them. And but it's I think it's a little bit easier than to beat strong players in QT. I think.
Do you have, if we don't look at the last year and a half with COVID, do you have recently like an annual tournament, and which tournament would it be when you can gather all these 6 or 7 people, and how often does that actually happen, that you'll get everybody in the same place, same tournament?
Uh, we used to have a tournament in September in Uppsala, north of Stockholm, and it used to be almost all top players, maybe except for Christian Lindberg. He's living quite far away and difficult for him. But yes, so maybe this September, which would, if things go well,
December or November?
September.
Okay. All right.
Mm.
Good.
Yes, because it's a short tournament. It's 30 minutes games, 7 rounds or something. So it doesn't take so much time. It's easier for players, for example, Stefan Karlsson, yeah, family now, so it's easier for him to go away one day and so on.
Right. Yes. So out of those players, who would you consider biggest rival for yourself personally?
Now I think Peter Goldström is strongest.
Yeah.
He's difficult to play with. his style doesn't fit my style. It's much more easier for me to play with Stefan Karlsson. But it's such things like sometimes you have problem with lower rated players with a style that doesn't fit your own style, so to speak. So it's interesting.
How about any international player, biggest rivals, or you mentioned some mentors already. Feel free to name drop.
I don't have like rivals, but of course it's players I met quite many times in tournaments. Like Ant Sorser, we played many games. Maybe most Estonian players because they used to come to Open Team Championship, and but also Jeppe Farnov. I played some games with him, and Fedorkin, Denis Fedorkin. We have played quite fun games, interesting games.
Nice. Mm-hmm. So how about if we still use a couple moments on the personal player introduction? What would you prefer to play, online or live gaming?
I like both.
And do you also play correspondence on the offline?
No, I don't have the time. I play now Swedish Championship, but it's I don't really have the time to analyze, and I sometimes I make moves too quickly and not so strong.
Right.
So, but I think for the last 15 years I played Gomoku Euro League online. It's very nice. And I try to take part in this Polish tournament this weekend. Last weekend I took part, and Kawamura Cup
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago, and so on. I don't really understand why not more players take part in such tournaments. I mean, it's really fun to play there, and it doesn't take so much time either. So, and especially when you miss live tournaments, it's like some kind of compensation.
I agree. Yeah, it was a good twist on having the videos on, and I think when the procedures advance, when there's more experience on doing that, I think it's a good compromise to have video. So because I think I think it's always, if you're playing online and you're not supervised, there's always a chance for some reason that if somebody's cheating or not, I don't know. But if there is, if there is a video, it's at least somewhat safe to say that okay, that person is playing their own skill and they're not using databases.
Yeah.
It's still, it's not that uh, that serious, but I think it's, and also having video, it's nice. So I was watching the second part of the second day, and making some commentary as well with Dima,
Mm.
and it was fun. So
Yeah.
would like to do it again.
Yeah. One thing was interesting in two of my games. I saw in the upper right corner, I saw my opponent thinking, and I made in both this situation, I made a quite good move. In one game, it was winning move, and the other was I had like took big advantage. So I really could see that my opponents were in trouble, their body language and so on. So it was very close to live,
Yeah,
because sometimes you can read in the face of
for
your
sure.
opponent. Yeah,
Absolutely, for sure. And if you played 40 years, you probably pick up some tells, whether you
yeah,
know it or not. You can really sense what the other person is doing.
yeah.
And then you can also bluff a little bit. I mentioned, was it Epifanov's episode, that I really miss playing against Stefan Carson. He bluffs. In my opinion, bluffs. I don't know if others take it so, but he makes this expression.
Yeah.
If you recognize that, at least towards me when I make something, and then he kind of shows me in his body movements that he's not sure what to do, but I'm sure that he knows exactly where the game is going.
Yeah. But, about such tactics, I think. By the way, I think I have the most bad poker face in the Ranjo community, because we had once we had people could tell comments about other players, and it was fun to read, because I was considered to be the most honest player, because in Peter's face you can see 100% his opinion about his position. If it's a good position, he smiles. If it's a bad position, no.
Maybe you can use that, and you can leverage to your
Yeah.
advantage. Yeah.
But I can I can tell one funny thing from many years ago. Ingvar Sundling, he was the best Swedish players in the middle of 80s, and I remember once I played a move. I thought that was a good move, and Sundling said, "Hmm, good move," and he was thinking and thinking. And I was relaxing. But Ingvar, he was counting his win. So he tricked me 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially like trapping, it's fun. It's fun when it's
Mm.
late game and you might have a long VCF, for example, and it's nice way to end it in a sense that if there is a draw on the board, apparent draw, lots of moves, and then you can make a scheme of a long trap if you're playing with white or VCF that goes across the whole board basically, and
Yeah.
then just. But I think the body language it makes a difference, uh, how you play your the move that is decisive whether your opponent falls into your trap or not, and
Mm-hmm.
you can affect it. I remember one, was it Finnish Championships decisive game between the second place, if I recall, uh, against Marco, and I won in such way that I had quite a long VCF, and just I think there was a little bit of shenanigans there, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
perfectly normal with Helsinki office
Yeah.
ethics.
Yeah. Mm. But one more thing about playing games. I think one thing it's important for me is uh, to if I'm a little bit nervous, I play better. Sometimes I'm too cool. Um, Actually, once in a tournament, I took a pulse ratio. I tried on myself, and I had a 48, and it's almost sleeping. And normally, because it was quite a tough game, I should have 60, 70, 80 or something. And I think you play better when you're a little bit nervous. It's the
Yeah,
same with music. If you totally relax, you don't do the best performance. But if you're a little bit nervous, so if I come to a tournament and I play and I feel a little bit nervous, it feels better for me.
yeah, it's interesting observation,
Yeah.
and
By the
I
way, you spoke about VCF, and now when your .NET is down, I checked one game from 18 years ago, maybe one of my best. Uh, if I go, I can show it on. Uh, no, what do we have it? Uh, do you see it now?
yes,
Yeah. So this is a Swedish Championship in 2003. I play with Marcus Eriksson, and he makes an attack with 37, and it's quite good position. It's here, 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 and here. So it's, I think, practically win if I block. So, and it was in Swedish Championship, highest league, we have 2 hours time. So I remember I counted it. I spent 45 minutes, counted and check it once, and I played out these moves.
yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25,
Oh, and yes, and then it's
26,
a win. Yes.
27, 27 moves ahead.
Yeah.
That's a
So,
long VCF for a real game.
yes. So, but I remember after that game, I was so tired because I counted for counter moves or something.
Yeah.
It didn't show up. So, Mhm. So it's one of my best games, I think.
It looks nice. Maybe you can show the earlier moves. Let's stick here if you don't mind. And I think it's a natural progression for the memorable games as well. If you think, of course, if you think of some stories down the line, feel
Mm.
free to share. As a side note, we are
Mm.
about 2 hours into the
Yeah.
podcast, which is a good
Mm.
amount,
Yeah.
I think for.
Yeah. Mm. So Marcus played here, and I played here. I don't know if it's so good, but anyway. Oh, I played with Meteorele there, and yeah, and I know that Marcus was quite. He wants to attack, so quite many games have about this shape. Maybe that was his mistake. I don't know, because now I get a little initiative. And he's attacking here, but I don't think it's a win. And
Yeah.
and here it comes. So yes. So in when we play with old riff rolls, it's also one thing about my games. Uh, I could have played Direct 11 like other players did, but I didn't. I hated that opening because it was so boring. It was so much theory. Um, so I tried, for example, here like Direct 6. With two moves, it's a sure win. So, but anyway, I played it and took a chance. So if I play just for enjoying the game, I have much more joy than here than playing Direct 11,
Yeah.
for example.
Same here. I like to play um, interesting variants. I don't really care that much about theory. And when it comes to opening rules, uh, if there is opening rule that promotes many playable variants and some adventurous ways of playing, I would advocate that
Yeah,
to something that more heavily relies on theory practice. Of
yeah,
course, I admit it's important to have the theory involved because players can study theory for years and even decades. So taking away the theory, it's not a good thing for the games. But when if we have a Renchu in the future where um, for a total beginner it's unmotivational for them to enter the tournaments. if they are in such a disadvantage that they can't do anything with their own calculation. I think that's not the best way. And I feel like the Taraguchi, whether that's Taraguchi 8 or Taraguchi 10, it offers quite nice ways for even beginners to escape the theory and just be part of the opening.
Yes. So I think these rules will be in future. I mean, in Swedish tournaments, we use it practically for all tournaments, and especially if you play with 30 minutes games, it takes so much time. If you see a fourth move and you should put out 8 fifth moves, it
Yeah.
takes so much time. And first you must decide, is it good for black or is it good for white? And of course it's some skill in that, but it's better, I think, to play with Taraguchi 10. Even if it's also a rule, my idea from beginning, but because to learn a beginner to come to a Renju tournament, it's too hard.
Yeah.
But if they can make their own moves by this swaps, it's maybe easier. And this could be used for almost free Gomoku. Like they play every second move, and you can choose to swap. And with no forbidden moves or so on. So it could be easy for a beginner.
And the total beginner doesn't even necessarily need to know or to use the swaps, so they can just play free Gomoku and with forbidden moves, understanding that the game starts from the center and the area where you can play the following moves is gradually bigger. It's super easy to tell a total beginner about it. Basically, you just introduce the concept of forbidden moves, and then that the game starts from the beginning. And then if you want to say that, okay, if you don't like something, you can swap. But it's not mandatory. Like, I would rather like to see the beginners just play 5 moves, and then after the 5 moves, the game continues anyways.
Yeah.
So I think it's best what we got so far, and I'm actually quite jealous for Gomoku for reaching the consensus for swap 2 so easily. You know, it's somehow I feel like with Renju we kind of for 10 years or almost 20 years kind of lost potential when trying and discussing and trying and discussing different rules, but it's water under the bridge, so to speak. But I feel like Gomoku is really fortunate, the Central European Gomoku, to basically they jumped from swap to free Gomoku or long Gomoku pro openings to swap and swap to very quickly, and then they never looked back.
Yeah. But on the other hand, it's not easy for a beginner to play with swap true. I mean, if you put 3 moves very far away from each other on the board, scattered, so it's impossible to judge a situation. And I notice when I play in Gomoku Euro League. Now I tell my opponents how to play, but um, I have always problem with these openings
Same here. Same
to
here.
to create equal position.
Yeah,
I mean, it's some skill you have to practice on that too.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because Renju is center and Renju traditional is not, the moves are not far away. They're in the beginning you have a central structure and then you move with the central structure to the corners
Mm,
and try to win in one of the corners. Maybe advanced players can even leverage several corners, the upper
mm,
space and the lower space. But Gomoku, like corner openings, yes, Renju players are inherently, I think, intuitively better as opposed to the very sparse openings where you have one move on the, on the upper flank, upper right flank, and then the one move in the center and another move in the lower left flank. So I
yeah.
think it's tougher for Renju players for sure to make those, but and so for beginners, I think it's difficult to assess
Mm,
that comes to the practice and your experience on playing those.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I guess it's not super easy for experienced players if they haven't seen one structure before or something at least relatively similar to that structure. Then they have to use time to decide what's the
Uh,
correct path forward.
I recall from 2009 championship um, when it was three players who played about the title, and they have to play extra games, and but with shorter time. And I remember Tamiola won that tournament, and Attila Demjan said that it was big problem for me because he could choose such opening pattern, and I have to analyze it in a very short time, 30 minutes. So he lost. Attila Demian lost that, maybe because, and if it had been reverse, if he had put the three first moves, maybe he should have won because
Yeah.
of too complicated theory. And looking on uh, watching World Championship games, it's they spend a lot of time for the first moves. Um, uh, much more than in Renju.
Yeah, I guess
Uh,
so.
After 1 hour, almost all Renju games are in the middle game, but many Gomoku games are only in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But on the
with
other
swap,
hand, sorry,
please continue.
yes, but on the other hand, I think it's good because compared with skiing, you have a classic and freestyle skiing. Some are specialists in one, and some are good at both. And
Yeah,
I think it's a little bit um, the same with our games. Um, it's not necessary to be rivals. It's like more like a complement.
for sure.
And I like it.
Yes,
I like to play both.
me
It's
too.
yes.
But like when I started, there was no competitive Gomoku. Like
Mm,
there was a couple of it's your turn players that
yeah.
played good on online, and that's all I knew at that point 20 years ago. So Gomoku has evolved massively, and I think it's still evolving. I think the level of top players playing Gomoku is amazing, absolutely amazing. So and
Mm,
it's beautiful game, and I think even if there are far in between, the opening is sparse and it looks terrifying terrifying for a Reggie player to start even thinking like what should be done. Then you can escape that. You can play a swap
mm,
two, and you can uh, not necessarily balance it out, but then your opponent has to use their time to figure out, and most likely they won't get it right 100% right if they haven't
yeah,
prepared that. So
mm,
it's interesting, and I think um, if it's RIF, even if I don't have a problem myself with RIF rules because I'm not the top player. I could play RIF rules, and if I'm playing my
mm,
level, I could like I don't remember the theory anyways. And if my
mm,
opponent, if I can calculate like if I think that they don't remember, they haven't probably played something that is even a sure win, then why not play it, you know? But
yeah,
I can use the same thinking with Taraguchi, right?
mm,
So I can tempt them, and if they know that it's a black win or white win, then they get unsure, what to do and what to do. And I think it's a great way to play Renju when you have to take responsibility of your actions during the opening. Like you can't
mm,
go back after the sixth or seventh move and say, "This is wrong. I didn't want this." No, you're part. Like you both make the opening, and it's brilliant when
mm,
you are responsible on it. If you swap, it is affecting. It's your choice to give the option for your opponent. If they have preparations, then it's likely that you're in disadvantage. And
mm,
like I find so much more depth in this kind of thinking, even at my level. And
mm,
then to be able to interview or have this conversation with the world best players, and see
mm,
what they think of the opening procedure, and have heard and asked this question for many very brilliant players, and they like, and I can't wait to see the Taraguchi 10 games in the world top level in the future, and see the games in tournaments when people are thinking and analyzing, like what might they be thinking, how is the thought pattern when there is only two moves on the board, like
yeah,
two moves, Taraguchi is five moves, first five moves you can swap. So like, how do they think there are two moves? If I swap here, then I get to play fourth move.
yeah,
So I think we might see like very interesting games because
yeah.
of this.
But on the other hand, like with opening rows, I thought a lot about it, and um, it gives like a character to the game. Um, I mean, it decides what game do we prefer. It's like a balance between theory and creativity.
Yes,
Uh, and where should we keep that balance? I understand that Gomoko is maybe more for creativity than theory. And definitely Taraguchi 10 leads to more creativity
I
also.
agree. I agree.
Less,
I'm not 100% sure of the more creativity. Like there is a lot of theory, and then players like the first episode of the Click of Stone sessions, I interviewed or we discussed with Zoltan Soli Laszlo, and like he has a wealth of understanding of different kinds of openings in Komoku, Swap Komoku, and like he can leverage that, and it doesn't have to be exact patterns. So even if the swap 2 happens slightly different, he can still tap into that theory and do modifications as and if needed. But
mm,
I'm not 100% sure that it's more more creativity versus theory. At least on the top level, they have a lot of theory, every one of
Mm.
them.
Yes, yes.
So, but you have to escape the theory at some point, right? So at some point, it when you lose the theory, whether that's the first 5 moves or 10 moves or 15 moves, then it becomes your thinking.
Mm. Yes, and of course it's in Gomoko. You have to find such pattern where it's not so easy to make swap two. It's not so easy to find equal positions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's not easy, but then again, if you make it courageously, you have you take a chance. Then your opponent is facing the same task, right?
Mm.
And if unless they have prepared that swap to, then they have to decide. And once they are
Mm.
deciding, they are using their time. That can help
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So about memorable games, you showed one funky situation along VCF here. Have you prepared some more for the viewers?
Now I can tell one thing. It's one thing so typical me. It's sometimes I lose concentration,
Yeah,
and that can be really bad for me. In a big tournament in China, '99, I had a quite good game with a Chinese player, and the position was that I could make a four in 2 points, of course, and depending on the other moves, it was really important. So after each move, I checked, must I make this four first before I answer the other move?
yeah,
And I was so into this thinking, and was a little bit tired, of course. And my opponent made a four, and I thinking for 30 minutes, and then I make my own four.
wow,
And my opponent must have think, well, thank you for that present. But it was so embarrassing. Like, but I didn't realize it was a four. I saw it more like um, slow attack move than
yes.
a four. Yeah.
It happens to the best of us, you know. I'm sure.
Yes, I seen it in time pressure in as referee in World Championship. They miss 2 move wins also easily.
Yeah, and you have witnessed the shortest ever championship loss in Helsinki
Yeah,
2008,
yeah,
made by yours truly.
yeah.
I think I lost with 6 moves
Uh,
against
uh,
reigning world champion Woody. So yeah, I5 and some catastrophe happened.
mm, yeah. But on the other hand, I don't think I have so much moves to uh, show, but I can tell a little bit what I think is interesting. Now with both with Saucer 8 and Terragucci 10 rules, it's possible to play some variants. And um, see if I can find it here. I'll take away this. Um,
You moved the size of the table a little bit. Um,
Make it bigger.
no, maybe I can resize it, because if you move the size, then on the OBS Studio the size moves as well, and I have to readjust. So please keep that in mind.
Okay. But I can show you here. It's not a secret because I played it many times. I played this fifth move, and it's interesting. I had so much fun with this because it has been so many possibilities for white. So this opening, it's like a small world of theory.
Yeah.
It's really, really interesting. I can tell at least 6 playable 6 moves, which gives quite equal position. So it's interesting.
What
And
happens with the K9?
here,
Yes.
there,
Okay.
and then it's variants from here. You can play here or here or here.
Yeah.
It's maybe this one is the best.
Right. Right. And that's, if you go to a tournament, live tournament, and if you make some preparations for that tournament, then you can save those for the correct opponents. And then if you have in storage, you have this kind of a fifth move,
Yeah.
where you know a lot, but maybe your opponent doesn't know a lot. Then you can use those.
Yes, but still, I haven't analyzed it so much, so I have like a big advantage of it because it comes so many new positions, and still black has advantage. So if I don't play precise white moves, it's easy to lose. But on the other hand, it becomes fun games. I like also that challenge to find these super moves that makes my opponent don't win. So I like that kind of playing. So normally I play white more often. I don't know why, because I have better percentage as playing black attacking, but in some way I like that more.
Yeah. There is a rush when you find a forbidden move. You have to you have to keep searching for forbidden moves, regardless of the color you play, right?
Yes.
But when you're playing white and you find a win with forcing your opponent to play it, there is a certain type of rush
Yeah.
involved, a dopamine
Yeah.
surge.
Sure.
And vice versa, a terror when you're playing black. You find that, oh,
Yeah.
I might lose in 5 moves if your opponent finds it,
Yeah.
and they will surely find it.
Yes.
Which opening are you most well known? And do you have some well known piece of theory that you're well known?
I maybe I know this best. I don't know so much theory. Of course, when we play with riff rules, of course I remember quite many of these variants because I played them maybe 20, 30, 40 times. But
Yeah.
I don't know so much theory. I can survive beginning, but I don't know so much theory that I can come out from the beginning into the middle game with maybe advantage.
Yeah.
So
I know
after
what you mean.
maybe 15 or 20 moves, I don't know what to play.
How do you keep the level, like, because when you play 40 years and you've
Mm.
seen a lot of variants, and I I find it very difficult to even remember what is good for black and what is good for white. Not to say like um, how to play the optimal moves. Like, do you practice? Do you look at your old games? How do you?
No, uh, I don't spend so much time with analyzing, but I can tell, as I told you before, I practiced before the 2007 tournaments, and then I analyzed my games and tried to find some patterns. Where did I make good moves and where did I make bad moves?
Yeah,
And I practiced to eliminate the bad moves. And it was quite good success. And I played a lot also. Uh, I played on, it was still PlaySite on that time. I remember I played many games.
yeah. Just feels like if you don't play a long time, then when you get older, it's tougher to remember stuff.
Yeah.
And like it feels somewhat, even now playing some variants, that I'm not even confident whether they were initially when I studied the theory, whether they were black advantage or white advantage. And it feels like slightly embarrassing because I was in charge. Like, at one point, very early years when I started playing, I was in charge of me knowing that uh, RIF, the most common fourth moves, I knew the at least the two fifth moves, and which ones
Yes.
were winning and which ones were advantage and which ones were losing. I don't remember them anymore. So and there's two options: either I go back and refresh my knowledge, or I accept it and still have fun and try to have fun.
Yeah.
Are there any other options? I don't know.
Oh. Yeah. So, but before that tournament, I went through all fourth moves, so I know that uh, I will take white in direct 3, indirect 1, and 5, and all others I would take black. I know that before, and um, except for one opening, but okay. But uh, so I learned all these moves by heart, and if it was some tricky moves for 7 and 9 and so on.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a lot of moves.
yeah. But it was my plan from beginning. But then I changed it a little because I had one pattern I played a lot, and maybe not good for white, but it's fun to play. And I played it with Tord Anderson, and I lost. It was bad decision because I played this variant with him 3 times before. And I have played it with success, and he has learned a lesson. So it was bad judgment.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? Would you like to play a couple of games for the viewers?
Yes, we can do.
How about if we take a few minutes break again? It is
Yes.
it is pretty warm here in Helsinki, as I mentioned.
Yes. Mhm.
So I
So
need.
do we play on Play 5?
Yeah, let's play on play. Ah, yes. For some reason, my Chrome browser wasn't working, so I didn't get it embedded to the
Yeah.
Twitch. But now it's with Firefox. I'm able to do that.
Yeah. So I can make the settings. What should we play?
No. I already got the table open. So if you can find it, table number 3, Renju Taraguchi, 15
Oh,
minutes.
okay. There it is.
Yes.
And Taraguchi 10?
Yes.
Okay.
It's 15 minutes, 2 seconds per move, so it won't probably go to absolute blitz. Rated. Let's make it unrated. Unrated. I don't want
Yes.
any.
I think it should be perfect. And after that,
Undo available if there is need. We'll just have fun.
yeah.
I hope like my goal for the game is to get at least 10 moves.
No, no. I know you can play. Okay,
All
let's
right.
go.
Good luck.
Yeah, same to you.
Swap first. Good. It's all going according to plan so far.
Mhm.
Wow. Good. Then do we see 10 alternative moves? I don't think so.
Oh, maybe not.
Did you notice my confidence and body language that I have studied this 4 move extensively?
Yes. Okay. Let's see what you have in mind.
I shouldn't have said that. I knew I shouldn't have said that. I should have just kept quiet. I didn't plan for it, but it looked like funky.
Oh.
Uh, let's see.
Hmm. It's almost like swap.
Yes?
Slight difference. Mhm.
Are you planning on watching any of the football games tonight?
Maybe, but definitely tomorrow.
So you mentioned
But
earlier that the football summer for Sweden was back in, was it 94?
yeah,
This was
but
Finnish football summer.
now it's different times. You saw our super offensive play against Spain.
Yeah, yeah. Finland hasn't been attacking a lot, but we are super defensive.
Hmm.
Oh yes, I was expecting more aggressive, continuous attack, but I guess there is no need for it. Doom, 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 doom. Maybe. Hmm. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Let's try something. Haven't thought it through, but
Hmm. A little bit sharp.
yes. My preferable way of playing is blocking with black, but I sensed there was no way to do that. So at least for now. I start blocking, you have too many lines. Game over.
Yeah.
Hmm. Now the question goes, to have a straight win. If I play here, you play here, I play here, you can just play here. Even if you play both up and down. Huh. Feels to me that this is like a one dan puzzle.
Yes.
Let's see if I can redeem my one dan title.
Yeah.
So first of all, of course, thinking intuitively playing f8,
Yes.
f9, but what then? What then? That is a question. There is also possibility to play f7,
Yes.
but then
And
if you
F9 as well.
hmm?
And F9 as well.
And f9 as well, yes. So how to determine which one to play?
Well, this situation requires some coffee.
Sounds good. Then there is a possible overline way to play with the k7, which is not nice. Dum 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 dum. I don't know. 5 minutes. I need to play something because otherwise I
Yeah.
run out of time. Already found a good excuse if I lose this game and this position. It's the heat in Helsinki.
Yes.
Yes. I'm surprised. I'm surprised. Maybe the other one was also good. Maybe I was wrong. Perhaps. Uh, did not see that at all. It doesn't surprise me. I thought it was a win.
Yes.
But the question is it still a win?
Not sure.
Yeah, a bit careless playing on my part. But yeah. It doesn't look good.
Yes. I have a feeling maybe I have control of the situation now, but I'm not 100% sure. So I think I changed my glasses so I see better. Oh, they were
Cheek,
dirty, so I changed back.
cheeky, cheeky. Mm. Mm. I don't see any good continuation.
Mm.
No.
But now I think, if I'm not mistaken, I have the win.
Okay.
4-4-4-4-4-4-4-4. Miscalculating. I must do something. Hmm. Oopsie boops.
Ouch. Ah, exactly. Yeah, right, as you said. Yeah.
Yes,
I was just
you
yeah.
made a China 1999.
Yes, yes. I was focusing on blocking the other three, but
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
forgot that. Anyways, if I had to block that, then I think it's quite good for white.
Yes, I have. I could play moves like M8. It's quite offensive, uh, but I don't think it's here. It's too narrow.
Yeah.
But on
I'm a
the
little
other
bit
hand,
disappointed. I miscalculated the initial attack, but then again,
hmm,
time trouble and everything. I still enjoyed the game.
Yes.
I would be happy playing 2 more if you have time.
Actually, maybe it's time for dinner now.
All right.
I told
Yes.
Olga it will finish at 6:30. So maybe some other time.
Absolutely. Anytime. It's been a super pleasure.
Yes, it has been really.
Discussing. It's been educational as well, and I hope for the viewers entertaining.
Yes, and also I thought of it like when we were speaking, like um, I mean, someone should write history of modern Renju, um, about the tournaments, development, famous players, and so on. The story behind the rules, and so on. So maybe it's a good idea. I can ask because Tommy Martell knows a lot. He has maybe from 78, 79, and a few years later. He has a lot of information.
It would be pleasure for me to have a discussion such as this with Tommy and Stefan Karlsson and other Swedish friends. So if you meet them, pitch a little bit, and it would be nice. I'm not sure if I've ever met Tommy Maltel personally before. Maybe in some open tournament, but I don't recall.
Yeah.
But
He,
many good friends in Sweden. It would be nice to have participating in the podcast.
yeah. And by the way, one player you could be interesting is Alexander Nosovsky.
Yes, for sure. I think
Uh,
the head
he
the
knows a
video.
lot about.
Uh, say again.
Do you hear me?
Yes, the video broke for a second for
Okay.
some reason.
Yeah. Yes. Um, he knows a lot about the early years. Because they were from beginning there were 4 students at Moscow University or something. Nick Alexandrov, Slava Brover, and Nosovsky, and one more. I don't remember exactly who. And and then it was one man also, Vladimir Sapronov. I met him only once in '86, and he was also a big enthusiast, but mostly for Gomoko, not Renju. So I think it's quite interesting things.
Yes, he had quite nice stories. I met him semi recently. Was it 2019? I believe in Tallinn, and himself he and Koshin they coined the phrase "click of the stones" originally in their legendary book that
Yes.
I borrowed the Click of Stones brand. So reached out to Koshin years ago and asked if it was fine for him that I create a website and
Yes.
the Facebook community, and he was fine. And Nosovsky himself, he didn't mind at all. And he actually mentioned that they borrowed themselves the brand or the title for their book from Japan. So the idea
Yeah.
was the glass of the swords, and that and hence click of the stones. So samurai swords. That's the
Yeah.
idea behind it. But it would be absolutely great to have Nosovsky as a guest here.
Yeah.
And when it comes to modern history, I think saving these podcasts into semi-chunkable pieces, weekly or bi-weekly episodes on YouTube, um, interviewing or having these conversations, not only for us, but the future future
Yeah.
generations to have a look at the stories. I'm not much of a writer myself or reader to that extent, but maybe somebody could narrate, or maybe in the years to come, maybe I can help out making these stories into book format. But then again, we go back to what kind of medium the future generations will be consuming. My bet is that video format will be
Yeah.
more accessible, and maybe audio podcasts. And when we look at the numbers of views in TikTok now, I'm amazed. You probably know, because that generation, I don't know if seventh graders, ninth graders, they use TikTok, but younger
Yes, they do.
kids. Imagine what would Komoku and Renju be like if there were content creators on TikTok,
Yeah.
creating puzzles, creating engaging content. I think it's not the question of when that will happen. I think it's a question who will, and when. It's not a question if it will happen. I think it's a question when it will happen.
Because it has like a potential. Look in Norway now, after Magnus Carlsen, it's a lot of kids go to the clubs for learning chess.
Yeah.
And they will probably produce a lot of strong players in the near future.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Peter. It's been a
thank you.
big pleasure, and wish you a lovely summer, and I hope to see you in the next tournament.
Yeah. Likewise.
For the viewers, thanks for watching, and catch you in the next one. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.